Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to episode 176 of Folks Talking Sports. I am Chris Gardner. With me is Mr. A.D. Moore of the AdMax Corner. How are you, sir?
Afternoon, Chris. What's up, man? How are you? Doing
I'm doing
outstanding.
I'm doing well. Be a There is a change of plans to my plan of having what was it, five of the family on here. Okay, Kim Davis should be joining us hopefully momentarily. Kanitra is at a convention. AJ Jones had an unfortunate emergency pop up within the last few minutes, so he won't be able to join us. So right now it's just me and AD. Queen Wanda Polk, good evening to you. So we're gonna just kick it around and take it as it comes. Mr. Moore, you're a
Yes,
football person.
sir.
You're the AdMax corner. You cover the Texans and the NFL. Did you have a chance to catch any of the goings on, as Bernie Mac used to say, from the NFL Combine?
Yeah, I did, Chris. And I'm gonna caution myself how I'm going to address that issue. I watched it. I was in and out because I know some of the guys was actually up there. They for the combine started on Thursday, and I think they wrapped it up today, if not this afternoon sometime. Quarterbacks and all like that. Yeah, I periodically watched it. I think the lineman, and everybody was today. I was hoping like the devil. Maybe I can help help Nick Casario and them maybe find them another offensive guard, maybe another swing tackle, but primarily an inside player, or maybe another guard, or if not another center. But something just to get this line shored up where it won't have to be waiting to half the season. Then all of a sudden we get to the end of the season and eh, overall, I thought, again, I'll state this: I thought that the Texans line at the end of the season was a lot better, cohesive unit as opposed to the start of the season. But I think they need a couple of pieces to be plugged in there where they can make sure that CJ is not having happy feet back there behind the line of scrimmage. But yeah, I did. I think the young man Styles, I think he was sort of like, not that it was not expected of him, but I think he turned some heads. Here's my problem with this, Chris, with as
Hmm.
far as the NFL Combine is concerned. I think it's only like about 300, 300, 301, maybe 300, 305 players that are invited. That's an invitation that's given to those players, and that's come from a cornucopia of all the 32 teams in the NFL. They put who they would like to see in there, and that invitation goes out. uh, and reason I mean, I'm sort of laying that predicate because it was like, I think the last time that an HBCU player was taken number one, I want to say it was Ed Too Tall Jones, and you know how long ago that's been. Dallas Cowboys,
Hmm.
Tennessee State, and so it's almost like it's a afterthought for these kids when they coming back. I even think that some of the kids from Division 3 or Division 2 are given a little bit better credence as opposed to these kids coming from HBCUs. But that's sort of been my observation for the last, say, 3 to 5 years. Because I think some of those kids I think they sort of downplay the level of competition or the coaching they get. Now, taking that in consideration, yeah, you have a Michael Vick coaching now. Yeah, you have a prime time coach Prime. Yeah, you got an Eddie George. You have all those guys that are now coaching. Well, Eddie George has moved. I think he's in the MAC now, but he was at HBCU, and so it's a thing where at least from my perspective, I think they sort of look at them like, this is class C football, at least from some perspective. And that's just an observation I've seen and so forth. Coach Kim might see it differently since she's sitting there. Hey, Katie, what's up?
Hello, hello, good people. How are you?
Doing well, and as I mentioned, Kim Davis from Chalk Talk is joining us. And as you see on the plug-in on the software here, I just changed Will's scene to KD scene on the fly here. Love this technology here in this new platform. That I think, Kim, have you officially joined, made the switch yet, Kim?
No, I just haven't taken the time. Um, yet. I'm still at the other place because it's so easy.
Understood. But yeah, just take time when you have time, and just AD's learning. He can tell you as well. We won't turn this into a promo for what we're using because they're not paying us making a promo. But
Right?
he's learned how to make make do on the corner, and he loves it. Right, AD? I'm not speaking for you. You love this platform
No,
too,
no,
right?
no, 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 no. I think I understand what Kim. I understand what Kim because you get accustomed to that platform and the little nuances. But there are a lot more. There are some tweaks that's been added to where we are now that I sort of because even now I'm going like okay. It's just a few little extra things, Katie. But like I say, when you get the time and to do it, do it. But like I say, I understand it's like a glove or like a good 100% calf leather glove that fits your hand. It fits it so well, you sort of hate to change and have to break another one in.
But Kim, for those who don't know, let everyone know who you are.
Kim Davis. Am I hearing an echo? Is that because it's something I'm doing?
No, no, sounds good on
Okay.
my end.
Yeah, Kim Davis, longtime sports journalist, a storyteller. I host a show called Chalk Talk. This is, I think, my 13th year doing Chalk Talk weekly. And I also now host a show on the CW called H Town Sports Talk on Friday night and am contributing to Cron.com. In fact, I published a piece or wrote a piece that they published yesterday. If you go online, it's on the Cron.com, so you don't have to get behind the paywall about McGregor Park. And so hopefully you'll check it out and enjoy it. And with the history of McGregor Park, people know a little bit about maybe Xena, but talking really more about John Wilkerson and just all the things that came, the great things that came from McGregor Park. And here's a stat, Chris and AB, that our program was free.
Hmm.
And I don't know, free or not, how many coaches had two players in the top 10 at the same time. John Wilkerson did. Now that predates Venus and Serena with their dad Richard. But other than that, I don't know of any programs that can tout that accomplishment. So a lot of great stories from McGregor Park. I won't get into all of them here, but so I just would encourage you to go check it out on when you get that. I'm told it's a pretty good read, so I feel good about writing it.
Excellent,
Now,
excellent.
Kim, it was a good read. I've had a chance to read it, and it was an
Thank you.
excellent piece. Now, hey, for some of us, it's been up and down South Park, MLK, and all the other a few times, and actually been in the pool over there. Yeah. And the thing about it, predates the concrete course where Venus and Serena them came off of. Coach, that was what asphalt. It was a definite a little bit better surface probably than the concrete surface.
Yeah. Well, you can paint concrete. Let me just say that.
Yeah. Kim, did you have a chance to catch any of the NFL Combine?
I didn't go. I saw some of the clips and highlights. I've gotten to where, other than maybe the interviews, the combine for me is, I get why they have it, and it provides opportunities for some players that otherwise may not be seen. But can you run straight? How fast can you run straight? How high can you jump? Or can you lift? The more I listen to coaches talk about whether or not that translates into how well you perform, and maybe the person that sticks out in my mind is a Kamari Lassiter, who they said ran a 4.65 at the combine. And when you watch Kamari Lassiter, the defensive back of the Texans play, I don't think there's anything about him that says he can't cover or he gets beat. And so you wonder, like, what do those numbers really mean? So, long answer to your story, I did not go. I went to spring training for a
Hmm.
few days, but I did watch some of the clips with her, some of the interviews, and so I did hear the general manager for Houston Texans, Nick Casario, call the conversation about trading C.J. Stroud moronic, and basically shut it down for this year because he was to me clear and saying CJ Stroud is our quarterback. He will be with the Houston Texans this year.
Well, that's kind of what AD and AJ said on previous Folks Talking Sports, regarding CJ Stroud. I want to say this. got the ESPN little update news, breaking news, and this is sad news. Um, Colorado quarterback Dominic Ponder died at 23. Coach Deion Sanders said today
Oh wow.
there was no immediate word from the university on the circumstances surrounding Ponder's death. Quote
Mm,
from Deion: Dom was one of my favorites. He was loved, respected, and a born leader. Let's pray for all that knew him and
mm.
had the opportunity to be in his presence. Lord, you're receiving a good one, end quote. So 23 years old. He was a third year sophomore from Florida, the state of Florida. Spent the past two seasons with the program after transferring from Bethune Cookman. So he appeared in two games last season. 23 years of age. Wow.
Yeah, when I hear these stories, and we're hearing them unfortunately far too often, even if you say, oh, we just hear one or two, that's too many. Whatever the circumstances are, we don't know yet what the circumstances are with him, but he's 22 or 23.
23.
23 years old is really young,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, definitely praying for his family. That's got to be tough to get
Yeah.
that phone call.
On a brighter note, you mentioned it. You were in spring training with the Astros. So what did you see? And I'll be quiet because it's baseball.
So, a few things. We got a chance to talk with Lance McCullers, and he has been really on this roller coaster or treadmill the past few years, trying to get back since he got injured in 2022, right after he signed the last contract. And it's clearly he is at a place now where, I mean, he wants to get back to play. He was very emotional when he talked about his future. He wants to get back and play because he loves his team, he loves his city, and a fan base, and he wants to be able to play and compete. But he also said if that's not what's in the cards for him, um, he's going to be okay with that too. And I think, guys, that may release some pressure from him to
Mhm.
free him up to go out and play. Because one of the things that I've noticed from Lance, you know, when he's tried to come back, if he's been hesitant about throwing that fastball in the zone, and you know, when you free yourself up, you don't have all the pressure of I've got to make it. This has got to be this way. If you really have said, listen, I've got a great life, I've had a really good career, I want to keep playing, but if this is not to be, I've got my wife, my kids, and we'll be fine. That will give him a chance to, mentally see what he can do physically. And so I thought that was interesting. Another thing that stood out was, you talk a lot about the infield and how crowded it is with um, when they traded for Carlos Correa and brought him back, put him at third. Isaac Paredes, was out injured. Well,
Right.
he's back healthy now, and that's a bat that you want in the lineup. And so, you know, Joe Espada has also said that he's pretty much said that Jose Altuve will spend most of his time at second base. If they need him, he's available to go out to the outfield. So you've got Jose. Of course, you've got Pena, who's playing it at shortstop. You've got Christian Walker at first. You've got a couple other guys that are, possibly, do some work in the infield. So the infield is crowded. We knew that. But I'm really curious about what they're going to do with the outfield. The outfield has not been a strength for them. So, one of the stories is about Jordan Alvarez. That was the day before I got there. The reports were that, it seems like the Astros are going to be leaning toward or suggesting that maybe Jordan will be playing more DH than in left. And when we talked to Jordan, that was the first day I got to camp, or the second day I was there, and he said, I like playing left, and that's not where I've gotten hurt. I've got hurt running the bases or running, not getting hurt in left field. So that was interesting. So to see what they do with the outfield, does Jamel Taylor have a shot? They need a left-handed bat consistently in the outfield, so they're looking for it. They haven't had that since Kyle Tucker left. They just struggle with the outfield. So
Mhm.
we always know that pitching's an issue, right? So they've got to work through pitching. Hunter Brown's going to be their ace, is their ace. Um, Satsuya Imai from Japan has come over and looked pretty good. And they've got some other guys that looked good early. But I'm curious about what they're going to do. What the outfield looks like on opening day. Of course, we are still 3 or 4 weeks from that. So in a nutshell, those are some of the things about spring training that stood out to me. And get a chance to talk to Tremel Taylor, and we talked to Kagan Biggio, Craig Biggio's son, who was trying to make the roster. He's a utility player, infielder, outfielder. So a lot of storylines in spring training, and who's going to make this team?
AD, were you impressed with that? I let Kim talk baseball here on Folk Talking Sports. See, that's the beauty of Folk Talking Sports. Baseball
Kim,
could be
quick
discussed
question.
here.
Yeah, Kim, and I'm glad you brought up Jordan. What about Jim Crane? Because Crane, to me, I'm starting to think a little bit. He's starting to remind me a little bit of the former Yankees owner because his patience doesn't necessarily run real long. He wants to win. He wants to win now. He wants to win consistently. What kind of inklings have you gotten with him? Is how much time he's given this group of guys? Because I think he wants to go back to the throne room real quick.
Well, I think one of the it's a beauty, a blessing and a curse when you go to seventh grade ALCSs, right? It becomes the expectation. The fan base expects that you're going to be in the ALCS and the championship game every year, vying for the World Series, and so their success wasn't common. And so I think Houston fans. I'm a native Houstonian, and I can say it. Not super patient, and I think it's more of a response that he wants to win. You know, it's good that owner wants to win, and so you have to match patience with talent and with finances. Baseball. Let me back up and say this: baseball is headed toward a lockout next year, and I think that's pretty much everyone pretty much knows it. There's
Right.
a high chance there's going to be a lockout,
And
and
key there, not a strike, a lockout.
a lockout, which means the owners will lock them out. I mean, that is a work stoppage, and I guess that's the way that you try to get the salaries back under some sort of control. You know, because it is. Some may say it's out of control. Others say, well, why shouldn't the players get this money because the owners are making it? And then you look at a payroll and you look at what the Yankees are doing. Not the Yankees, the Dodgers are doing. I mean, just tons of money to spend. And so it looks like there is going to be a work stoppage. So with that said, I don't know in terms of this year what you spend. What do in terms of getting people in and locking them up? I think Crane wants to win. Crane does spend money. Sometimes people say, oh, he's not willing to pay. What he's not willing to do is to pay 10 years. He feels like, why should I pay all this money for a player, give him I'm going to say 10 years because that's oftentimes what players want a 10-year deal, and when on the last 2 or 3 years of that deal, you may not be really contributing, and I'm still paying. And so I can't really fault him for his business model because he does pay people. He's just not willing to. He's got a business model that he's sticking to, and he's like, listen, I've won 2 World Series, I've been to seventh grade ALCSs. It works. So
Hey, Kim, I think you were being conservative. On a 10-year contract, AD, you chime in as well, and folks watching us on
yeah,
YouTube, LinkedIn,
I'm being
Facebook,
nice.
etc. 10 years, me might be the back end of 4 years or 5 years of that
Yeah.
deal that they're not as good as they were. So it kind of makes sense to, to our point of view. I'm curious what the fans think about that as well as you're watching, excuse me, the viewers as you're watching folks talking sports. Kim, AD knows this. AJ, he was very serious when he said this 2 weeks ago regarding what the Texans need uh, in the draft. His
Okay.
answer wasn't a position. AJ's answer was an offensive coordinator.
Hell yeah, he was
Okay.
he was he was very shall we say demonstratively emphatic about about them needing a offensive coordinator, somebody who has done it before and not somebody that's doing it the first time or riding a this is my words now, riding a bicycle and they finally take the training wheels off and he's still stumbling with the training wheels off, and especially with this lineup. So
So Kim, what do
and
you
I
say they need?
So listen, I felt like a change at offensive coordinator would be good, provided they got one with play calling experience. And so if you're going to go out once again and get a play an offensive coordinator, we're clear that you're not changing that position. That's Nick Caserio's guy. I don't care what anybody says. It is. Nick Caserio told us at this end of the season press conference that Nick Haley was going to be back. And so there are a number of reasons for that. He said, he got better. I just wonder if, when my question to him was about putting everything around CJ that he needed, and he, of course, said, well, it's not about one player. Yeah, I know it's not about one player. Your quarterback is the most important player, right? He's the face of the team. He's a player that there's somebody else on the team that's going to make 50 to $60 million a year. And it is a player that franchises are built around. So let's not pretend that it's not super important. Clearly, everybody matters, okay? And you need more than just a quarterback. But I just have not felt that the Texans have done enough to surround CJ, and that's in terms of just his coaching and talent with the pieces he needs to be successful. Now, I want to go back to yeah, I agree with AJ. I just know it's not going to happen because they've made it very clear, and they did change the quarterback. They did part ways with Gerard Johnson, the quarterback coach, brought in a guy from I don't know, maybe New England. What's in there? The tie. Hey, how
Gee,
about
surprise, surprise,
a nice
surprise.
surprise? Let's get as much of that in the building as we can. Um, but I want to offer this up. While Nick Casario was emphatic about how they feel about CJ, he's our quarterback for this. He said this year, right?
Hmm.
And he didn't say not next year, but the fact that he said this year, okay. So what does CJ and his team think? Does CJ and Molageta and that team, they feel like this is what my future should be? Are they going to surround me with the things I need, the pieces that I need to be the best I can be? And the reason I think there is a disconnect, it has to be a disconnect somewhere. CJ, what CJ's strengths are, it seems the offense is something different. And that's not a knock on CJ. It's kind of a knock on the offense. I feel like this so reminds me AD of Bill O'Brien. Why do you want him to fit the offense instead of designing an offense that works to the strength of your quarterback? I I just think that's problematic and
AD, what do you
not
say?
necessarily a recipe for success.
Well, let me backtrack real quick. They said that was a mutual decision between the Texans and Gerard Johnson leaving.
Mhm.
Now, let me just say this, quote unquote. How mutual was mutual? Because it seems to me that okay, it wasn't CJ, it wasn't Nick Cayley. So we decided we're gonna change the quarterback coach now. And this is supposed to quote unquote the quarterback coach that pretty much they felt like that they were glad to have him back. In fact, because he was started like that hot quarterback coach last year, at the end of last year,
Yeah.
that several teams were at his door. So when all of a sudden I look up and see that that was a mutual decision to part ways, I sort of underline the word mutual, and I'm sort of going like, how mutual is mutual? In other words, we're not offering you another contract, so I guess you got to go. Is that what we're
Yeah.
talking about?
And so that's the other thing. I feel like so CJ's been here for 3 years. He's going into year four. He's on his um,
Rookie contracts.
still rookie contract, but he's on his.
Yeah, but
He's had two offensive coordinators. Now he's going to have a second uh, quarterback
quarterback
coach.
coach. Yeah,
He has the line has changed. It flipped over completely. It hasn't been great at all. And so while we talk about it getting better last year, the bar was a little low.
Hmm.
So yeah, it was better. And it will probably change a lot again. I mean, what are they going to do with the offensive line? You hear Nick talk about it. He thinks it's time. You hear D'Amico talk about it. Yeah, I heard him on an interview on the NFL Network, and the host asked him about his needs. He thought, and he said offensive line and running back. Which I think we all kind of see that. And speaking of running back, we hear Nick from the combine say that it seems that Joe Mixon has had on-season surgery, and so they're looking for running back. So there's a lot of uncertainty around this offense in terms of the pieces, skill positions. I think it's exciting that Tank Dell is practicing and could come back. I think it's not realistic to put all of the expectations on what that looks like.
Agreed.
His injury was catastrophic, and he is going to do everything he can. But will he be? How much of that level of dynamic Tank Dell are you going to see? It won't be for any fault of him not giving it all he has, but physically, I've just heard it take some time to come back from injury like that. The good thing is he's young,
Hmm.
but he's also little.
Yes. Very, very, very much so. As you watch in episode 176 of Folk Talking Sports, I'm Chris Gardner. With me is AD Moore from the AdMax Corner and Kim Davis from Chalk Talk, Cron.com, the CW, etc. Her resume list is long and impressive, as we've known her for quite a while now. Rockets coverage, Kim.
I was just going to ask you, but before you get to Rockets coverage, I was going to ask you about your Detroit Pistons. You must be having a wonderful season this year.
Well, they surpassed their last season win total with a win tonight.
Yep.
They're now 45-14 with their win over Orlando. I am concerned with how far they'll go in the playoffs because they just do not shoot well from 3-point range at all. Tonight they were 4 for 30.
Wow.
4 for 30,
Yeah.
but won by 14 points. They missed their first 15 threes tonight. So I guess, optimistically, they will 4 for the last 15.
Yeah.
But even that's bad. But they still won by 14 points over Orlando to improve to 45-14. They play at Cleveland on Tuesday. And after Friday's come from behind win over the Cavs, Willie texted me and said, "See you Tuesday." I was just like, whatever. James Harden and Donovan Mitchell did not play Friday. I think they'll play Tuesday. But yes, Detroit is 45-14 after going last year 44-38. So they've already passed their win total from last year with, what is that, 23 games to go in this season. So yes, I am surprised pleasantly at how well they're doing this year because I thought this was, and I still think it. They're a season away from really competing for a championship because they need more 3-point shooting, clearly. And I think they have one of those guys on the bench. He doesn't play, Marcus Sasser.
I knew you.
That's my Coug bias a little bit, but he is one of the best 3-point shooters on the team. Honestly, he really is. He just doesn't play. But the Rockets,
Yes.
Kevin Durant, is he having to do too much
Yes.
for the Rockets' success?
I'm going to say yes. And this isn't what Kevin is saying. This is Kim Davis saying it. I that he's having to do. I mean, they're nice when you think, okay, let's give him a little bit of a break tonight. Like, and you can't close a game out. The game when they played against. There's something come to mind. Boston here. Um, I don't know. I just think to answer your question, yes, he is. But listen, at 37, he is still very, very effective offensively. He is still obviously one of the best scorers in the game. And he's having to do a lot. I think that the backcourt is, coming along. I've heard some people locally, a particular host on a local radio show that's often talking about how Amin Thompson is taking a step back. And I just want to call in if I don't do that and say, dude, I know you don't really go to the games or cover any of this, but you do realize he's playing out of position.
Right.
Like he hasn't taken a step back. Now I think he's doing a good job when he's running the point. That's not his natural position. And so while he can do it and he can get better at it because he's just an incredible athlete involved there and he's a sponge to learn what he needs to do. He was just so dynamic on the wing.
Right.
And so now you've got him doing something else. And then, of course, Reed Shepherd is, um, he's shooting the ball well. They're getting
Reed
somebody.
is not a point guard either.
That's right. Exactly. He's not a point guard either. And I think that's going to matter even more when it gets to the playoffs. It's gonna matter in the 7 game series. But I do wonder sometimes, Chris, maybe late in games when they need some offense and they don't have Reed on the court. I think that's an Ime thing, and I wonder about that sometimes.
Do they think Reed is a just defensive liability when it gets down to crunch time? Is
Ime
that it?
does.
Ime
Huh?
does, but it's not. This isn't the defense they had last year. They don't have that edge, and I know that that's the kind of coach Ime is. But like he said after one of the games, they don't. Dylan not having Dylan Brooks and not having Fred VanVleet, that took away some of that defensive edge and grit that they had previously. Kevin is not a defensive juggernaut at this point in his career. That's not, and
No,
he can come here for that. You
no.
know, Amin he still is. He was much more of that on the wing. You're not really getting it from Reed, and that's not necessarily Alton's strength either.
And they missed Steven Adams as well.
And they definitely miss Steven Adams. So they've got some pieces that are there. But so with that said, play me. Or I'm one that also says, give me more Aaron Holiday. And I know some people say, well, he's a defensive liability. Okay, who can somebody score? At least he can run the point.
I think Mr. Big Texco, thank you for the comments, sir, and your support of the Houston Round Ball Review as always. I think his no is to our statement that KD is not having to do too much. But other part, Alp, what do you say about Alp lately? He's been up and down.
Yeah,
You agree?
I think he has been up and down. I think he would tell you he's been up and down. And I think that they brought Kevin here to be a closer, and so uh, he doesn't mind playing and doing a lot. But I'm speaking in terms of a 37-year-old player that if you're going to do anything in the playoffs, you're going to need him, and you're going to need him logging the kind of minutes he's logging now. I don't know how realistic that is that he does that for 82 games and then does it in the playoffs. That's my point when I say I think he's doing a little too much.
Yeah, I'm surprised, honestly, that because of the minutes he is playing and his age and his recent injury problems, that KD's played so well and so long, so many minutes this year. I'm honestly kind of waiting for Father Time to catch it to him and say, yeah, now it's time for you to have a nagging injury. He hasn't had it yet. And now, the last few days, he talked about playing in the
In the
2028 Olympics.
Olympics.
And I mean, that's okay. That's 2 seasons from now. And he could probably do it. He'd be more like, I think, Tyrese Halliburton role this 24 Olympics and not play much at all, be the veteran if needed, break glass kind of thing. This could be more of a younger roster in 28. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on starting Reed Shepard?
So you're starting him at what? The
And
two
Mr.
guard?
Big starting, give me,
Instead of
let's
who?
go. Who's your starting five? So who is Reed replacing? I'm
Right.
curious about that. So yeah, and he'll chime in with that. I'm sure.
Okay.
KD. Would it be Reed, Amin, KD, Jabari, and Alpi? Is that who he's thinking of?
So you would start him instead of like
Tari.
Tari Eason? Hmm.
I mean, I'm kind of okay with that. I guess. I mean, that kind of
Yeah.
makes some sense. Depending on opponent. No, I'm okay with that. But I'm just Reed is not a point guard.
He's not a point guard.
Okay, he's a confident shooter now, which is great
That's
to
great.
see.
Hmm.
Um, he could play off KD and Alp a little bit. Oh no, he's going a little different. Oh wow,
Reed, Katie, say, oh, you're not going to start him in?
wow, that's interesting.
That's interesting. Okay.
That's wow. hmm.
Reed, Katie, Alfie, Jabari, and Tari. So there won't be a starting lineup without Amin. I can pretty much tell you that, just because
Yeah,
of
I
how they
agree with
feel
that
about him.
as well. Yeah, I don't see that happening. And Tari is solid as a starter. I think he's more impactful coming off the bench.
I think he is too. So
And
your starting backcourt is going to be Reed and Tari?
yeah, and that I don't like that at all. Uh,
Yeah,
going back to this, I'll pull up D skills comment once again. I don't like Atari Reed backcourt. No,
yeah.
no, I don't like that. That's his take on it. That's fine. We can agree to disagree. Now D skills, the producer of the new intro for FTS. Thank you as always, my man. I may have to add you tweak it again and add a new person. Going to have a edition, seventh person joining the show next Sunday. Miss Laquita Thompson. She'll be joining us. So we're going to have 3 women and then 4 men, and then we'll rotate based on availability.
I
So
need
she's
to
agreed
get
to join
some
the show.
skills town information. Maybe you can help me with um, I need to do a couple intros. I'll get
Yeah.
his information from you.
Okay. I can do that. Not a problem. But Reed, I, Reed, Reed's turnovers can be maddening
Yeah,
to Ime especially, but Reed is not a point guard.
right.
I mean,
You know who else
so
turns it over a lot? Kevin
Kevin
Durant.
Durant. Kevin Durant. Yes, he does.
Not to put them in the same category at all.
Agreed. But they double KD a lot, the rich KD, not our
Right.
KD right here. And Kevin makes some bad decisions, or he's late on the pass, or he tries to thread a needle, or whatever. So he's had some 5, 6, 7 turnover games too. But in these final moments, for AD and Kim and everybody, the WNBA,
Yes.
the league,
Hmm.
the union, we're getting close. What the league has said, what the deadline is for March 10th to have everything start on time still. I think it's March 10th.
I think that's the last thing you heard was March 10th.
Will an agreement be reached by March 10th?
I think so. I think I think so. I think that I think the players push back on a proposal. I think either what was it, the housing or something. The last time I read, they pushed back on the housing, some portion of the
Yeah,
agreement.
players changed. They
Yeah,
answered that part of it with some little modification on time of
uh,
service for who
yeah,
gets housing,
Hmm.
accommodations or something like
accommodation.
that.
That's one thing.
Yeah,
The revenue sharing is still a big problem, but I think that I think the last few days the players had. Now this is the spin from the president of the union. Your perspective, if I say it, if I'll say it like this, and y'all respond how you want to respond. Different pay levels of players had different issues and concerns in these meetings, and it got kind of heated in conversation. Okay, the top paid players have a different viewpoint than so I think there are some cracks forming between the lower paid and the upper paid, and I think something will get done. But so, what do you think? Now, the president, of course, of the union are saying, well, it's just family discussions. We have different viewpoints, and when it's all coming together, we all agree to talk it out, and then we just have to find a common ground. What do you say?
I think basically what you're seeing. This is if I'm an owner, if I'm one of the owners, I'm loving that because you know why? Y'all, they're gonna come to the table. They'll be to the table sooner than later. So
Hmm.
all I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna. I really, if I am an owner and I've just heard that, I'm not gonna make no more concessions, no more modifications. I'm not doing nothing because guess what? I'm gonna still have my money whether y'all come up and play or not.
Kim,
Okay.
agreed.
Yeah,
I agree.
I tend to agree with you. They just, I just, the league has made some great strides and it is, is in a pretty good position. I don't think they want to um, have a work stoppage. I just don't think it's good for them. I don't think it helps what they're ultimately trying to do. And not that you should just cave. I'm not suggesting that, but I think you want to have your season and you want to have it start on time.
Yeah, and here's the other thing, and Chris, you and Kate and Kim, Katie can speak to this. Europe is really not that beckoning call for for these young ladies to go to as it has been. Yes or no? Only for that top echelon player, but for that mid range player, for those players like what we just discussing as far as the contracts are concerned. A lot of these players, if they can stay home and make that comparable money and still sleep, don't have to worry about speaking Italian or whatever, Yugoslavian, whatever the case might be, and stay home and do it, they will. And I think a lot of those folks' families would love for them to be at home. So in a real sense, I'm just asking this: with Europe not being that focal point for those young ladies to go, are they sort of in a catch-22 situation from a contract negotiation?
Some of them are. The big money was in Russia,
Was in Russia. Yeah.
and that's pretty much dried up.
No kidding.
Yeah, oh yes. China pays well, but there's not a lot of folks want to go to China anymore. I mean, and Don Staley
Right.
put on social media yesterday that he's trying to get three of her players from her
Back from Israel.
Gamecocks from Israel.
Yeah.
So Israel, I forgot there were players in Israel.
I forgot that too. And when I saw that, I was like, what? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's
So
right.
there are still players who play overseas in different countries. Israel is one of those options because the pay is solid,
Yeah.
but with more games domestically, unrivaled. What is it? Athletes Unlimited. I think that's what it is. AU.
What do you think about the unrivaled league?
I think it's good, but they're having a problem now.
Yeah.
Players are getting injured.
Yeah.
Aaliyah Boston's out with a lower extremity injury.
That's never good.
So now you got WNBA stars getting injured in other leagues. That's probably going to give pause to some of those players. Yeah, I'll wait for the WNBA. I'm good. So let's get a deal done, and let's try to get as much as we can from this deal as possible because we're not going to get everything. But the issue comes down on both sides.
Right.
If we agree we don't want the season to have a delay in the start of the season, then both sides have to agree to, okay, what can we accept and agree as soon as possible? Because the momentum will wane. And as much as people love the Caitlin Clark effect and the popularity of women's basketball on the upswing and all those women's sports in America on the upswing, if there's a work stoppage, some of those fans,
Be
I can
watching
do without y'all.
baseball.
Yeah, I
No,
can
Yeah.
they be
without
watching.
y'all.
Listen,
They gonna be
it will
watching
definitely
baseball.
it definitely hurts the momentum. And even in sports that have been, you know, around longer and had bigger audiences, work stoppages are not good for the game.
Agreed.
And it's not good for the players. And so, yeah, I think whatever they can do to get something that they can feel, good about, okay, we feel good about what this next deal is, the CBA would be. Um, but but try to avoid a work stoppage.
Yeah, agreed. And let's wrap it up there. So she has so many irons in the fire, but I'm going to toss it to her. And this is just a couple of things that on her 80, get ready. But Kim, here you go.
Okay. Oh, I'm supposed to tell you. Okay, so listen. First of all, you can follow me wherever you're watching this. You can follow me on Twitter at Kim Y Davis. You can follow me on Instagram at Kim Y Davis Media. Also on TikTok. But if you and then you can find out when my show airs. It usually airs on Tuesday mornings, Chalk Talk, but it depends on kind of what's happening in the world of sports. And then every Friday night on the CW at 10 p.m., I co-host a show called H Town Sports Talk. And so if you like 10 o'clock, it's a Friday night. If you don't watch it live, you can DVR it. You can catch it on the app. and or download CW39 Plus. There's a free streaming app, so you can watch it wherever you live in the country. You don't even have to be in Houston, but check it out. I'd love for you guys to support it, and I'd love to hear from you. And when I write for the cron.com, because it's not like I'm not on their staff, I'm a contributor, I always post it on my Twitter and my Facebook page, so you can find out what I have going on in those places, and also follow me on YouTube at Kim Y Davis. I think that's it. And as always,
Yeah, we not envious. We not envious, Kim. No, hey folks, hey, as always, appreciate the opportunity. You can find me on IG and Threads at AdMax Corner. Uh, Twitter, I still call it Twitter because I haven't got my check from X yet. AD underscore more 64. Also at AdMax Corner YouTube channel. As Chris probably alluded to it, with the season being over, I get a chance to breathe. I can get a chance to watch my compadre Kim Davis, because every time I look up, I'm like I said, the article she had written as a contributor for Cron.com was a night. It was a good piece, and and I was glad to catch it. I was stumbling through, and I looked up and went like, "Wait a minute, she's over here now." So that was a good kudos. But as always, I'm appreciative and thank you for the opportunity. Um, Also, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but the Texans getting ready to get a new home, Chris, and Kim took a big sigh. I'm glad. I'm glad we were able to get it from
I
the
had that
abyss.
thought to bring it up and I forgot it.
Well, that's okay. They got it. It won't really debut until 2029. But I think they've already done dug a spade of dirt out. Officially dug a spade of dirt out. So they're out there on the northwest side, Beltway 99 and in the Bridgeland area, about 24 acres dedicated to the Texans out of an 83-acre tract. So here's quickly. Let me just say this. I'm sort of looking around. I still think the Texans will be at NRG for an extended period of time, but there is enough room if they desire. Because I'm sort of thinking about the 49ers where they play at. Even though they San Francisco, but they play in Santa Clara, and that's 20 some miles away. So I don't. For the time being, the Texans will be for definitely still at NRG.
they will fulfill their lease, which gives them 6 more years. And after that, I think they will be looking to build out in Bridgeland. That's just
Uh,
what I think.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's still enough property out there.
Yeah.
It's the egress and the egress and the avenues of getting in and out of that place is going. That's going to have to be the deal, because trying to get to Levi Stadium, and I know from the last time out there, even though Super Bowl or no Super Bowl, it's still a tough way to get in and out of that place.
Thank you both, Kim Davis and AD Moore.
Thank
And
you,
they
Chris
are part
Gardner.
of the Folks Talking Sports family. And we're going to, based on their availability, we might have a full slate of 7 on a few shows, and some might be like 3, between 3 to 7 on Folks Talking Sports in the future. But this is what this is my plan, what I envision. This is part of what Max Edison, may he rest in peace,
Yeah.
he envisioned for us years ago. So I'm trying to do my part to keep that going. So thank you to everybody watching. Thank you for your comments. Hope you enjoyed it on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, etc. Thank you as always. And you can follow FTS on IG and Threads at Folks Talking Sports. That'll do it until next Sunday for episode 177. We're getting closer to the Big 12 tournament. Women's tournament starts on this Wednesday. Houston Cougars women's team finished up the regular season today with another loss. Finished the regular season 1-17 in the Big 12, so that they did not reach my goal of getting 2 wins in Big 12 play,
Wow.
which would have surpassed Coach Huey's last season. He only won 1 game last year in Big 12. But Coach Mitchell did win 7 games overall his first year, compared to 5 in Coach Huey's last year. So you could say that's a step up. Whatever. But they'll play on day 1 of the Big 12 tournament, women's hoop tournament. They're probably going to lose. But anyway, they'll be done their season this Wednesday. No, yeah, the 4th Wednesday. Big 12 men's tournament starts next week on the 10th. The Houston Cougars men's game should be this. Cougars will be playing on Thursday the 12th. Andy Yanez and I will be in Kansas City on the 11th. So look for content on YouTube, on Paul Slamma Jamma, as well as on the Houston Roundbar Review, as well as Let's Rage Cougs post-game shows from Kansas City as well. Subscribe to the channel. Thank you as always for your time, questions, and support. And wrapping it up, as I'm sure everyone knows, since 1994, the Houston Round Ball Review. Local name, global perspective. I'll take care. Peace.